Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and oh my gosh, it has been so long since I last sat down to film. Over the past few weeks, all of my pre-recorded videos went up that I filmed during my maternity leave, but I am back and happy to announce that our baby boy was born 6 weeks ago. While I'm filming this. He is beautiful, he is healthy, and his name is Floris. I announced his birth a while back in a photo, like a community post on here, but I don't think many people saw that. Yeah, his name is Floris, which is a fairly common Dutch boy's name. A nice and traditional one, very old, dates back to, I think, the Middle Ages. Where to begin? Oh, I have been going back and forth about how much I want to share about the birth, like of the whole experience and everything, but I think I'm just gonna give like a brief overview of how it went. If you've been following me on Instagram, I have been sharing a lot more on there. I generally do share a lot more of my like personal life over on Instagram. So if you've been following me on there, you will know that I was pregnant for a very, very long time. I went the full 42 weeks before my medical team strongly advised that I have an induction. 42 weeks is where they set kind of the limit in the Netherlands. There are a lot of risks to the baby that increase a lot when you reach those 42 weeks. So they really just recommend that you do get an induction if you're still pregnant at that point. So that is what we did. In fact, we kind of started the process a week before. So when I was 41 weeks and a few days pregnant, we started by doing membrane sweeps, which did absolutely nothing. So we tried 3 of those and none of them worked. I was barely dilated at all, so they couldn't break my waters yet, which would be the next step in an induction like this. So my 3rd membrane sweep was at almost 42 weeks, and at that point my midwives had to transfer me to the hospital in the care of a gynecologist. That's the protocol in the Netherlands. At that point you're no longer allowed to have a home birth, and the birth will be officially supervised by a gynecologist. So at that point I knew that my dream home birth and the bath and everything went out the window. And we had to go to the hospital, and they tried to once again get me dilated a little bit more. We tried several different things, took again a few more days. So by the time labor finally started, we had been going for a week trying to, help things along. Long story short, baby did not want to come out at all. My body wasn't ready, baby wasn't ready yet, so we needed a lot to get the birth going. It was a lengthy process. It became increasingly more medical as time went by, but I am very, very grateful to the medical staff at the hospital that I gave birth at, because they tried at every point to do the least invasive procedure possible. So they really tried to nudge it along as much as possible, and only ever went like one step heavier in the measures that they were taking. So they really tried to encourage a physiological birth as much as possible. It just really wasn't happening. But I felt very supported in that, which was wonderful, because I really didn't want to have a hospital birth, and I'm just very glad that it was done in the way it was, which was fairly gentle, or at least they tried to be as gentle as possible. I was hooked up to an IV and all kinds of things that I was just really scared of beforehand, and at the time it was happening, let's be honest. I look back on it with very, very mixed feelings. I was really hoping to give birth at home, get into my zone, into that bubble, or I get into this like birthing trance, that many women experience, where you don't really experience the outside world anymore, and then it feels intense but kind of beautiful and powerful as well, and empowering, and then baby comes out and it's this beautiful moment. It wasn't that for me, and I'm kind of sad about that. I am really scared of hospitals and needles and just hospital equipment and the whole environment and everything. So I feel like I maybe wasn't able to relax as much as I should have with everything that was happening to me. So I was fully conscious throughout the whole thing. And I very much felt like the labor was happening to me and I was surviving it, rather than me actually doing it and feeling like powerful and ancient feminine energy and everything. I couldn't get into that. I felt like I was surviving throughout the whole thing. So I do feel very conflicted about it, because all of the procedures that they did went well, and everything was successful, and baby is healthy, I am healthy, and nothing went wrong. So there wasn't anything like no traumatic experiences, no emergencies or anything like that. It feels kind of hard to admit this, but I do feel like it wasn't a good experience for me, and I really wanted it to be. But on the other hand, I am so grateful to the staff over there. They were super kind, very supportive. I feel like they really made time for me and my wishes, and they listened to what I wanted, and they explained everything that was happening. So I think in terms of the hospital experience, experience, it went as well as it could have gone. And here's another part of my conflict. I feel kind of bad admitting this because I know many people have had very different experiences with hospital births or just births in general. And I know that so much could have gone wrong or been worse. It could have been so much worse. And I feel like I don't really have a right to complain because of that. But on the other hand, this is how I feel about it and this was my experience. Yeah, that's kind of the struggle I'm going through. I'm still trying to process everything. It's still fairly fresh and I'm sure maybe in a few months or even years time I will look back on it very differently. But yeah, very, very mixed feelings. So I never got to the end of my labor and delivery story. So basically they had to keep amping up all of the measures to make sure that it was progressing, like the medication and everything. I was able actually to get into a birthing tub at the hospital, which was wonderful. So I did actually spend the majority, if I remember correctly, the majority of my labor in the birthing pool, which was a long time, I believe from when my contractions started to when Floris was born was about 24 hours. Again, because everything like dilation and everything progressed so slowly and it was just taking a really long time. Beforehand, I really wanted an unmedicated birth, but then after like maybe 20 hours or something, I'm not entirely sure. The timeline is kind of fuzzy. It just all blended together into one long day. After probably about like 20 hours, I think, I was like, I can't take this anymore. In terms of pain relief, all I had up until that point was the TENS machine, which was great, by the way, in the early stages. Did absolutely nothing once labor progressed. And then the bath, of course, which was wonderful, but also after such a long time, I was just exhausted. I was utterly exhausted. We hadn't slept the night before because my contractions started at about 2 in the morning, I think, and I wasn't able to sleep through them. So we had been up from 2 a.m. and this was evening of the next day when I asked, what my options were for pain relief. So they explained my options were either an epidural or drugs that would basically just take the edge off and allow me to relax better in between contractions. But the thing is that I was sleeping in between contractions. I was so exhausted at that point that I remember I was on the edge of the birthing tub and I was holding Robert's hands, squeezing them to pulp more like. And every time a contraction would come, I would just squeeze his hands and then immediately as the contraction ended, I would just fall asleep on the edge and then wake up again with the new contraction. So I felt like that would be pointless and I really didn't want an epidural because I'm still terrified of needles and anything medical and just, yeah, I was more scared of the epidural than I was of enduring more of this pain. So I had no pain relief throughout the entire birth. Looking back, if I'm ever in such a situation again, I don't think I would have done it without pain relief. I would have gotten the epidural. Looking back, I probably should have gotten the epidural. I was utterly exhausted, which didn't help with the last part, which was pushing. My dilation wasn't progressing. I was stuck at 2 centimeters for a very long time, then 4 for a very long time, and then all of a sudden it went pretty quickly, I felt like, and suddenly I had this urge to push, but I still wasn't dilated enough. We had to wait a little bit longer. Once I started pushing, I just didn't have the strength anymore to push him out. And at this point it was evening again. The night shift team came in, so we saw all of the teams twice while I was at the hospital. So the morning shift, the day shift and the night shift. At that point the night shift came back again and the day shift was ending. And I believe it was fairly quiet in the maternity ward at that point because suddenly everyone was in my room, 8 people, all of the midwives, all of the nurses. And at that point they had already given me local anesthesia down there to get ready for an episiotomy and to, pull the baby out. And they were like, okay, we're gonna try this one last thing. And I knew at that point I was not able to push the baby out myself. I just didn't have the strength anymore. So I was like, yeah, go ahead, do it. And oh my gosh, guys, this was so weird. It was such a weird experience. She literally put her hands on my bump and just pushed down. It felt so good because I could feel finally baby just, something was finally happening and baby was finally coming out. So I think they had to do that through 2 of my contractions. So basically they would wait for a contraction and then they would just push the baby with my contraction. The head came out and then baby came out and then there he was. Well, I was gonna say tiny little. He wasn't that little. He was fairly big. I remember the midwife held him up and she was like, you can take him. And I was just like, what? I didn't know how to take him and hold him. I was in complete shock. And since there were so many people in the room, one of the nurses just picked up my camera and took photos of everything. So we have a fairly detailed photo documentary of the whole final stage of my labor. I was no longer in the birthing pool at this point. I tried pushing in the birthing pool for a while, and at a certain point the midwife suggested I get on the bed and try pushing on my back. It might be easier for me to push in that position, like just holding onto my legs and everything. So I was at that point in the bed on my back. We did skin to skin. Then he did skin to skin with my husband. Yeah, by the time everything was done and we were back in the room, we were back in our room where we had spent the night before, it was about 2 a.m. again, I think. And yeah, we had a son. A healthy little baby boy. So yeah, a very different birthing experience from what I had hoped and prepared for and from what I wished. I had many procedures done that I specifically didn't want to have beforehand, but it was all kind of necessary evil, and I'm once again very, very glad how everything was handled by the hospital and how they explained everything and what was going on. I did consent to everything that was being done. I understood why. Like, it was all necessary evil, but it was evil nonetheless. I feel like I wish I could have looked back on it with different emotions, but yeah, it is what it is, and I'm just very, 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 very grateful that everything went well and that baby is healthy and I am healthy as well. My recovery went very well, very quickly. I was very lucky with that. And of course, the first week after we got home, we had our postpartum nurse or doula at home here, which is a standard medical service here in the Netherlands. It's covered by health insurance. You get a postpartum nurse or a doula at home for the first week. Ours was an absolute angel. Oh my gosh, we love her so much. She explained all of the basics of taking care of a baby. She took care of our household, did laundry, prepared lunches for us. It was amazing and such a huge help. So I was able to fully focus on recovering and taking care of baby. But he is an absolute delight. He is just wonderful. We love him so, so, so much. I am so happy to have him in our lives. Little baby Floris. My maternity leave officially ends next week, and after that I will be going back to work, which is making videos. I already have a bunch of content planned that I'm really excited about. Now that baby's here and I'm no longer pregnant, I will be going back to filming my regular content, the same type of stuff that I did before, so kind of documenting all of my creative endeavors. I will have to see how soon I'm able to get back into sewing. Baby is still very small, requires a lot of my time, and I won't be going back to work full-time straight away. Yeah, I'll have to see how quickly I can get back into sewing again. I do have a small sewing project coming up though, fairly soon. One of my first videos is one. But yeah, I have a closet declutter coming up. I am dying to do a garden update because so much has happened in the garden, guys. I'm really excited to do that. And I would love for you guys, if you have any requests, suggestions, what would you like to see from me on this channel in the upcoming months? Keeping in mind, as I announced before, I won't be doing maternity content and nothing about baby, stuff like that. But any other lifestyle stuff, again, creative things, sewing related stuff, please do let me know. Oh, hair and beauty, of course. I should have this hair for at least another month. Before it starts falling out. Oh my gosh. I am not looking forward to that because my hair hasn't looked this good since I was a teenager, and I love it, and I really don't want it to fall out. But it might, so yeah, we'll see. Maybe I can sneak in a few more hair videos before then. So yeah, leave your requests. If you are interested in a bit more of my kind of personal life and how I'm adjusting, I do share a few more kind of things related to my pregnancy and postpartum period over on Instagram, so you can go follow me on there. I am at Loepsies, but on YouTube things will be going back to normal from now on. Thank you guys so much for supporting me throughout this whole pregnancy journey and for sticking with me through my maternity leave and all my pre-recorded videos and my seemingly endless pregnancy on YouTube. Which was pretty long in real life as well, but not that long. If you've ever given birth, I would love to hear how your birth went and how you feel about it now. Was it a positive experience for you? Was it negative? Do you have mixed feelings like I do? I would love to hear. But I'm gonna end the video here. Time to go back to baby, who is downstairs with dad, who is also in a digital meeting with his colleagues, so that should be interesting. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm very happy to be back. I will be uploading every other week for a little while longer, just so that I can slowly ease back into working. And once again, I won't be working full time yet. I'm spending a lot of time nursing and doing contact naps and just spending time with baby. So, but I'm excited, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye!